Here's me, and of course, my gorgeous wife. That's Kelly, for those of you who have not met her. Just to give you a quick history, I actually grew up in Los Angeles, just outside of Los Angeles, California, and my dad, grandfather, great-grandfather, great-great-grandfather were all auto mechanics. And my dad always gave me 3 rules. Be the best at what you do, never stop learning, and own your own business. And he was, like I said, he was an auto mechanic, but he was also a workaholic. That was his main hobby, his work. So he would have small houses or apartment communities that we would go fix up on weekends. So every weekend, whoever was spending, whatever my friends were spending the night over that weekend, he'd have me and them up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go do make-readies on apartments, do landscaping, work on the pool. We even re-roofed a building when I was 12 years old. Okay, so, exploitation begins in the home. That was me. But I learned a lot because I was doing make-readies at 8 years old, cleaning carpets, fixing things. When I was 16, my dad said, I'm working too damn hard, and he got out of the automotive repair business. He sold the businesses and kept the land. There was numerous businesses in the automotive repair side. And he went into real estate and started dealing in commercial real estate. He understood, but he also started dealing with mechanics and automotive-related businesses. And with his grease under his fingernails, he had instant rapport with those business owners and was an immediate success in commercial real estate. In 1989, I was 19, and actually, let me back up a step. At 16, when I was 16, he went into real estate. I started working with him. I always said, thank God, because I was a horrible mechanic. Just to give you how bad it was, the first time I tried to put oil in my car, I tried to pour it down the dipstick. I guess that makes me the dipstick. And started working with him on that, and I worked for the property management company that they had in-house. And I did special projects. We mainly had office buildings, so if there was a problem with an office, I would go over and troubleshoot it, basically from the experience I had every weekend working with him, and I'd go troubleshoot that problem, and if I could fix it, I'd fix it. If not, I would call out the right contractor for it. Most of the time, I could fix whatever it was myself. When it got into things that required licenses, obviously I couldn't. When I was 18, I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to college. I'm going to turn this into my own business. So I started my own business at 18 called College Maintenance, providing the same service to them and other companies where I would do that. So I'm 18 years old. I think I was in 1988 and charging $25 an hour for those services, okay, which was really good. That was a success because we had, obviously, my dad as a client, or his company as a client, and all the properties they had, as well as other ones we took on. And we did tenant finish out, we did painting, we did maintenance, we did everything on the office buildings. In 1989, the people that bought his business wanted to buy the land that it was on. Well, in California in 1989, cap rates are like they are now. They were like 3 or 4% in California. He said, I can't make any money. I can't reinvest, do a 1031 exchange and reinvest in California and make any money. So he started looking all over the country, and he found a property in Duncanville, Texas. He came out, looked at it, said, I love it. He flew back, got my mom. They flew back a week later, and they closed on 128 units in Duncanville, Texas. Candlelight Park Apartments. So I'm 19, so we keep the trend going. So we would fly out, and even though we had a management company that was managing it the first few months, we would go out and we would work on the property. Sweat equity. My dad loved sweat equity. And so we would work on the property. 2 months after they bought the property, the management company, an AMO, accredited management organization, sent my dad the financials, And he said, hey, wait a minute, I'm seeing $30,000 of uncollected rent here. And they said, oh, we noticed that too. What do you want us to do about it? He said, you're fired. Okay. And he flew my aunt out from he moved my aunt out who was living in Arkansas to come over and manage the property. We started Darcorp Management Group. About a year later, we had a family friend who had just taken control of an organization, and they had a lot of money. And they said, we have to place money. They said, where should we place that money? And my dad said, the best place to invest is in Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas. And they said, what do you know? You were just a mechanic. You have one property. You don't know anything. And so they went to their big-time advisor at Goldman Sachs. Well, they were good at that time, maybe. And Goldman Sachs said the most undervalued real estate in the country is in Dallas-Fort Worth. They said, wow, you knew what you were talking about. Here's $20 million. Go invest it. Oh, you're doing really good. Here's another $20 million. Oh, you're doing really good. Here's another $20 million. Oh, I love what you're doing. Here's another $20 million. Oh, you know what? We can keep going. Here's another $20 million. So $120 million later, over 4.5 years, we bought 5,500 units cash. And most of them in Dallas-Fort Worth, but also in Phoenix and even one in Seattle, Washington. Well, now to digress, in 1991, January 1991, I decided I'm going to move to Texas and help out on doing everything. I've got experience in apartments and maintenance and construction, and so I was part of the due diligence team and coordinated that for all these acquisitions we were buying. You know, a lot of responsibility in taking that over and doing the due diligence on all of these properties. Well, I was going to be here for 6 months, and that was in 1991. And whoops, I stayed because there was great real estate opportunities. I started buying my own properties, small little things on my own, while I became not the asset manager, moved up the ranks in the management company because I had to pay my dues. I had to go out on a property, be a leasing agent, be a manager, do maintenance, and do everything to prove myself to the company that actually bought the properties. And I was boots on the ground. My dad living in California and the owners in California, they wanted somebody out here. So I filled my same position I had when I started college maintenance out here on the apartments, which was basically troubleshoot and do everything. If it needed to be done, get it done. I love telling one of my stories about a life-defining moment. The asset manager, a guy named Doug, about 6'3", 6'4", if I were to guess, 280 pounds, big guy, and the nicest guy to most people. I wasn't one of those people usually. We would go out, he would come out once a quarter, we would tour all the properties. If he saw anything wrong, he would rip my ass. Absolutely. And I talk to him and I say, what's going on? All the management seminars and everything I've been to say, praise in public, criticize in private. And he said, oh no, BS. You know, construction guy, big guy. He said, I don't believe in that. He said, I want them to see, I want the managers and the supervisors to see that it's your butt on the line. And I would step right up there, right up in front. I would take all the arrows and protect the on-site team and the supervisors and everybody else, which his theory really worked. We had a lot of loyalty from our staff because of that. Well, one time, we were painting properties, and the sprinklers that were about this high were spraying into the buildings and rotting all the wood from 3 feet down. And he was mad about it. He came out because he was spending hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars replacing wood while we were painting properties. And he said, I want all the sprinklers taken out and moved out in front of the beds so they're not spraying on the buildings. And he left, and I was expected to get it done. And I got my bids, and they were astronomical, $300,000 plus. And I said, I'm not going to spend $300,000 on moving sprinkler heads. No way, that doesn't make sense to me. And he came out on his next trip. He came out, his wife was with him, my dad was there, and we were walking a property, and he is getting livid, absolutely livid. And much like this is a good example, he was standing on the top of a step, and I was 2 steps down, and he's 6'3" already, and so I was way below him, and his eyes got big as saucers, and he's yelling and cussing and screaming right in my face, and he's pissed off. His wife sneaks off, goes to the car. I'm looking right at it because I don't want to take my eyes off him. I see my dad just standing there right next to him like, what are you going to do? And I said to myself, he's going to have to throw me down these stairs because I am not backing down. And he's yelling at me. He said, if I see another GD sprinkler head, I'm going to shove it up your ass. And I'm like, I'm not backing down. I'm going to take care of this. And I learned a very valuable lesson that you can't have the you can't have the responsibility without also having the authority. So if he wants it done, by God, I'm going to get it done. I don't care if it costs 300 grand, because he was looking at that. I didn't want to spend the money on that item, but he was looking at the bigger picture on the damage that it was causing to the properties. Okay, so there's 100 lessons like that. That one was the most vivid regarding how to take care of properties and manage those and guide those to where they're supposed to be for a long-term owner. Now, you can throw lipstick on a pig. We could have went and just painted that and moved on, and nobody would have been the wiser. It would have had more rotten wood the next time. Well, that's why now when we do things, we fix things right. That's how I've been trained, and that's how we do it. In 2001, we sold the entire portfolio. We were already making them about 18% return on their money. And then we sold the portfolio and made them $100 million profit. Well, our company, our management company, went from 150 employees down to 5. And I started buying my own stuff, continued to buy my own properties during that time. In 2008, I discovered an real estate investment and mentoring group that taught me about syndication. I was like, wait a minute, I do have a skill set that people might want. And so I said, let me see if I can do this. So I went out and I syndicated a deal, my first deal in 2008. I said, oh, this works. So I went ahead and joined that mentoring group to learn how to actually do it. And since then, we've done a bunch of different projects and been off to the races ever since. In that time frame, I'll give you some more history. Be sure to visit us at darwingerman.com. There you can register for all of our information and see all of the videos. And make sure to like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos.